Why does sitting at a desk for 8 hours feel like running a marathon with your brain? Think about it. Your body might not move much, yet by the time you clock out, you feel overworked and exhausted, as if you've carried the whole office on your shoulders. That's not just being tired after work. That's mental exhaustion, workplace fatigue, and yes, the hidden weight of job burnout creeping into your everyday life. Here's the controversial part. It's not always the workload that drains you. It's the way your mind is wired to handle stress at work. Imagine this. Two people can do the same 9 to 5, but one leaves energized while the other feels drained after work, asking themselves, "Why am I so tired after work when I barely moved?" The answer lies deeper than caffeine, sleep, or even workload. It's about how our brains process pressure, deadlines, and workplace anxiety in ways we rarely stop to question. And here's the kicker. You don't have to accept this cycle as just part of adult life. There are ways to break free from emotional burnout and find real stress relief without quitting your job or waiting for vacation. In fact, if you stick with me, you'll see how burnout recovery is possible, how to rebuild work-life balance, and why that exhaustion after 9 to 5 doesn't have to own your life. By the end of this, you'll have tools to reclaim your energy, sanity, and yes, even enjoy your evenings again. The hidden weight of mental labor. Most people think of work as the tasks they finish, the emails they send, or the meetings they attend. But the real drain often comes from the invisible load, the mental labor that piles up throughout the day. Keeping track of deadlines, juggling multiple priorities, and navigating workplace stress quietly chip away at your mental health. That's why someone can finish the day just sitting, yet feel overworked and exhausted, almost like they've been sprinting for hours without moving an inch. Here's the tricky part. Mental exhaustion doesn't announce itself with alarms. It sneaks in when you're double-checking a report, remembering your boss's expectations, or bracing for another round of workplace anxiety during Monday's meeting. Picture this. You've done all your tasks, but your brain doesn't clock out. It keeps running in the background, like too many apps draining your phone battery. No wonder you're tired all the time, asking yourself, "Why am I so tired after work when I barely moved?" The good news? Once you see this hidden mental labor for what it is, you can start reclaiming your energy. Simple actions like using a notebook to unload mental to-dos, setting alarms for small breaks, or even creating a shutdown ritual at the end of the workday can help. Think of it like closing browser tabs one by one. But there's another layer to this puzzle, the way your body mirrors that mental weight, and how workplace fatigue shows up physically even if you never left your chair. How stress at work hijacks your body. Here's something most people miss. Stress at work doesn't stay in your head, it leaks into your body. When you're facing constant workplace stress, your brain releases stress hormones that keep you in a subtle fight-or-flight mode. Your shoulders tense, your breathing gets shallow, and your heart rate spikes, even while you're just typing emails. That's why the exhaustion after 9 to 5 feels like you've been running laps. You're physically paying for mental pressure. Think about how often you feel drained after work and head straight for the couch, not because your muscles are sore, but because your nervous system has been running a marathon. Job stress doesn't just create fatigue after work, it rewires your body to always stay on edge. It's why people who feel overworked and exhausted sometimes can't sleep well at night. Their bodies don't know how to switch off. Workplace anxiety literally keeps the body trapped in overdrive. The powerful shift happens when you start interrupting this stress loop. Stretching at your desk, walking outside for 10 minutes, or practicing deep breathing in between meetings aren't just self-care cliches. They're science-backed ways to reset your body. Small actions help stop workplace fatigue from snowballing into emotional burnout. But here's the kicker. Even if you learn to calm the body, the patterns in your mind, like constant overthinking and worry, can keep draining your energy if you don't deal with them. The mental traps that make you feel overworked. Here's the thing. Sometimes it's not the actual workload, but the way we think about it that multiplies workplace fatigue. Ever notice how you can spend more time worrying about a task than actually doing it? That overthinking creates mental exhaustion faster than the job itself. It's like paying interest on a loan you never took out. Many people who feel tired all the time aren't drowning in tasks, they're drowning in the constant mental rehearsal of what could go wrong. Take an example. Imagine you have a presentation due Friday. You could spend 2 focused hours preparing, Or you could spend the entire week replaying what-ifs in your head. What if I mess up? What if my boss hates it? What if I forget my points? By the time Friday comes, you're already feeling drained after work, not because of the slides, but because of the endless mental loops. That's workplace anxiety at its peak, and it silently fuels emotional burnout. Here's the sage advice. You can train your mind to break those loops. Write down every worry in a journal before bed, or use a worry box on your desk where you literally put a sticky note and close the lid, symbolically shelving it. These small rituals create space in your head, so you're not carrying your work stress everywhere you go. But even when the mind slows down, another hidden force keeps feeding job burnout: the culture of busyness and how society glorifies being overworked and exhausted. The culture of busyness and the always-on trap. In today's world, being tired after work almost feels like a badge of honor. People brag about late nights, endless meetings, and juggling side hustles as if workplace fatigue proves their worth. But here's the catch. This always-on mindset fuels job burnout more than the work itself. When society glorifies overworked and exhausted lifestyles, it pressures people into chasing stress instead of balance, making mental health and work a losing battle. Consider this. How many times have you checked emails at midnight or answered messages during dinner? That's not dedication. It's workplace stress disguised as productivity. Constant connection tricks your brain into thinking the workday never ends, which is why exhaustion after 9 to 5 feels like 24/7. The truth is, when your body and mind never get downtime, you're not performing at your best. You're just running on fumes. No wonder burnout recovery feels so far out of reach. The antidote isn't about quitting your job or moving to the mountains. It's about setting boundaries that protect your energy. Simple steps like muting notifications after work, creating a digital curfew, or even telling colleagues, "I'll get back to you tomorrow," can transform your work-life balance. These moves might seem small, but they're acts of rebellion against a culture that thrives on workplace anxiety. Still, even with boundaries, many people underestimate one last piece of the puzzle: the role of emotional energy in fueling or draining you. Emotional energy, the silent fuel you're overlooking. Here's a truth most people miss. It's not just tasks or deadlines that make you feel drained after work. It's the emotional energy you invest. Navigating office politics, dealing with a difficult boss, or even faking enthusiasm in endless Zoom calls consumes more energy than people realize. Emotional burnout creeps in quietly, leaving you overworked and exhausted without a clear reason why. It's why so many ask, "Why am I so tired after work when I didn't even do that much?" Think about it. One tough conversation with a colleague can leave you more tired than 3 hours of focused work. That's because emotions weigh heavily on the nervous system. When you're constantly managing frustration, anxiety, or even forced positivity, your brain works overtime. This silent tax adds to workplace fatigue, amplifies stress at work, and chips away at your mental health. And unless you notice it, you'll keep carrying this invisible load long after the workday ends. The key is learning to recharge emotionally, not just physically. That could mean having an honest chat with a friend instead of scrolling endlessly, practicing mindfulness with guided apps, or even laughing at a good comedy show as a form of stress relief. These aren't luxuries, they're tools for burnout recovery. Once you tap into replenishing emotional energy, you stop feeling tired all the time and start reclaiming your evenings. And now that we've uncovered the hidden weights of workplace stress, the body's reaction, mental traps, cultural pressure, and emotional burnout, what matters most is what you'll do with this knowledge starting today. So now you see, it's not just the hours you spend at work, it's the hidden weight on your mind, body, and emotions that makes 8 hours feel like 80. The workplace stress, the mental exhaustion, the emotional burnout, they don't have to run your life. The real question is, are you willing to step off the hamster wheel and reclaim your energy? Or will you keep letting job stress and workplace fatigue dictate how you feel day after day? Imagine what would change if you applied even one of these ideas. Maybe you start a shutdown ritual after work, set boundaries with emails, or recharge emotionally with things that truly bring you joy. Which one will you try first? Which shift do you think would make the biggest difference in how you feel tomorrow? That's how burnout recovery begins, not with giant leaps, but with small, consistent moves toward real work-life balance. And here's my challenge to you. Don't just listen and nod. Take action. If you want to stop feeling drained after work, you've got to start practicing these steps today. And if this video gave you value, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next insights on mental health and work. Because trust me, the journey doesn't end here, and you don't want to walk it alone.